From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Friday, February the 8th, 2019. Some 7,000 Palestinians took part in violent riots today at Israel's border with Gaza. They threw rocks, firebombs, and explosive devices at IDF soldiers and tried to breach the security fence. Israeli troops responded with riot control measures and live fire when necessary, according to the rules of engagement. The Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry said that 2 Palestinian teenagers had been killed and several Palestinians were injured. The Times of Israel reports that U.S. Special Representative for International Negotiations Jason Greenblatt will head to the Middle East later this month to brief diplomats there on the economic section of the U.S. peace plan between Israel and the Palestinians, including an economic development proposal for Gaza. Greenblatt will reportedly be accompanied by White House Special Advisor Jared Kushner and U.S. Envoy on Iran Brian Hook, among others. The delegation is said to be stopping in Oman, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar. A conference was held yesterday at the European Parliament focused on the rise of anti-Semitism in Europe and how to better combat it. The fight against anti-Semitism, a common approach to better protect Jewish communities in Europe from policy to action, was hosted in Brussels by Romanian Prime Minister Viorica Dăncilă, whose opening remarks highlighted Romania as a regional role model in fighting anti-Semitism and xenophobia, and in educating about and remembering the Holocaust. A number of Jewish leaders from the U.S. addressed the conference, including President of the World Jewish Congress, Ronald Lauder, who said the reason we are here today is the resurgence of the age-old hatred of Jews here in Europe once again. And B'nai B'rith International CEO Daniel Mariachin, who said the obligation to confront anti-Semitism and to make clear that the demonization and delegitimization of the Jewish state is often none other than a pretext for the hatred of Jews themselves falls on all of us. Also attending the conference was newly appointed U.S. Special Envoy for Monitoring and Combating Anti-Semitism, Elan Carr. The U.S. State Department is said to be ready to disperse the second half of the $60 million in compensation for Holocaust survivors deported to Nazi death camps by the SNCF, the French rail system. A compensation deal was reached between the United States and France back in 2014 to address claims by survivors or their descendants who are not French nationals and could not receive reparations limited to French citizens through the French pension system. In exchange to the deal, the U.S. government asked courts to dismiss any lawsuits against the French railway and against the French government. Former Ambassador Stuart Eisenstadt said this is a really important moment, a very satisfying moment, and the end of a painstaking process to help those who were long denied justice. Executive Vice President of the Conference on Jewish Material Claims Against Germany, Greg Schneider, said that Holocaust compensation is never about the money. It's about acknowledgement, it's about recognition, it's about justice. Well, the UK's Jewish Chronicle reports that Holocaust survivors will gather this spring in Prague to recreate a series of iconic photographs. In August of 1945, hundreds of Jewish children who survived the Holocaust, some of whom survived the Theresienstadt concentration camp, posed in front of the Jan Hus Memorial in Prague's Old Town Square. They were later known as the Boys. The photographs of them were taken just before they boarded Royal Air Force transport planes to start a new life in Great Britain. This May, the 45 AIDS Society is bringing some of those now grown children together with their children, their grandchildren, and great-grandchildren to Prague to recreate the historic photos. The group will also visit Theresienstadt and hold a memorial service there. An organization that runs secular yeshivas in Israel is trying out the idea in the U.S. J Weekly, the Jewish News of California, reports that Binah, which is the Hebrew word for wisdom, the Jewish Movement for Social Change, is now giving text-based learning classes at the Ashman Family Jewish Community Center in Palo Alto. a test market for other American cities. Bina is meant to be a study option for non-religious Jews, with a focus also on social action and community. Ashman JCC CEO Zach Bodner told J Weekly it is important for all Jews to engage meaningfully with their Jewish identity and heritage, whether in synagogues, at the JCC, in their homes, or out in the community. He said this program creates a new opportunity for those who might call themselves secular, unaffiliated, or just Jewish to experience deep study of our sacred texts and traditions. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Friday, February the 8th. Live Shabbat services are coming up at 6 o'clock from New York City's Central Synagogue, followed by American Jewish singer and musician Matisyahu in concert. At 8, former NBC newsman David Gregory talks about issues of faith and identity at the 92nd Street Y. Then at 9 tonight, it's the film The Making of a Martyr. At 10, it's kosher movies, followed by Muzika with Israeli rap group Subliminal. And coming up right after this newscast tonight, a look at this week's Torah portion. And that's the JBS News Update for Friday, February the 8th, 2019. I'm Teisha Bader. Shabbat Shalom.